Okay, this is lesson 3.3, subtracting rational numbers. So what we're going to do is we're going to take subtraction and we're going to turn it into an addition, because if we do addition, it's easy. So what we do is, let's say up here, we got 12 minus 3. We know how to do that. That's pretty basic math. That's 9. Now, what if we get 12 plus negative 3? Oh, that's also 9. So what it is we can talk about adding the opposite. So if you look here, instead of subtraction, we're going to add the opposite of 3, and the opposite of 3 is negative 3. Well, let's see if this pattern goes on here. So 3 minus 12, negative 9. 3 plus negative 12, adding the opposite, negative 9. Oh, it does work. So what we can do is we can, like I said, change subtraction into addition questions. So down here, negative 3 minus 12, negative 15. That one's a little bit harder to see, but look at this. If we do this, negative 3 plus negative 12, adding the opposite, that's really easy because we know a negative and a negative added together is still a negative. We can do 12 minus negative 3, positive 15, a little bit harder to look at. But if we add the opposite, so instead of subtraction, we add, and the opposite of negative 3 is plus 3, 12 plus 3 is 15. So it's actually a really useful rule, adding the opposite. So for instance, here, we could do 6 over 7 minus 2 over 7. So that's an easy fraction to work with. We both have a common denominator, so we just subtract the top, so 4 over 7, the numerators. What about this one? We could change it. So instead of subtracting, we're going to add the opposite. And the opposite of 2 over 7 is negative 2 over 7. So it's 6 plus negative 2, which is still 4 over 7. So this case really doesn't make any sense to add the opposite, but you'll see in some of the examples a little bit later on here it makes sense. Okay, what about this one? We got 2 over 3 minus 1/4. Now, of course, we need a common denominator, so our common denominator is going to be 12. So 3 times 4 and 2 times 4. Remember, whenever you do the denominator, you do the numerator. So we end up with 8 over 12. 4 times 3, 1 times 3, so you end up with 3 over 12. Now, 8 minus 3. That's really easy, simple math. You can do that. You end up with 5 over 12. Now, if we wanted to add the opposite, then we would do 8 over 12, right? But instead of subtracting, we would add, and then positive 3 over 12 becomes negative 3 over 12. But you still get the same answer no matter how you do it. Okay, flip the page. We'll just do a few more examples here for this one. Okay, so the first one is, oops. It would help if we went to the next page. There we go. 5 over 6 minus 4 over 3. Need a common denominator. Now, 12 would work, 18 would work, but we always look for the lowest one. So 6 is what we want in this case. So 5 over 6, we don't need to change at all. But 4 over 3, if we multiply the denominator and the numerator by 2, we'll end up with 8 over 6. So we end up with 5 over 6 minus 8 over 6, which is negative 3 over 6, which reduces down to negative 1/2. Now, we could also do this with the additive inverse. So instead of subtracting, right, we add the opposite. So it's 5 plus negative 8, which is still negative 3 over 6, which is negative 1/2. So it doesn't matter how you do it. What about if you have improper fractions? Fine. So negative 5 over 4 minus, negative 3 and 1/5. What did we say about mixed fractions? Should we change them to improper? Well, of course. To do that, we go 5 times 3. 15 plus 1 is 16. So we end up with 16 over 5. So we have negative 5 over 4 minus negative 16 over 5. We need a common denominator. Our common denominator is going to be 20. So we multiply over here, the top and the bottom, by 5. So we end up with 25 over 20. Over here, we multiply everything by 4. So we end up with 64 over 20. Now, if you look at this one, it actually makes sense to add the opposite. Negative 25, and instead of subtract, we add. So we put a little line through there. And instead of negative 64 over 20, it's positive. So that's really easy to do. Negative 25 plus 64 ends up with 39 over 20. You could leave it as improper if you like, or if you can change it to mixed. It's up to you. Okay, this is the last example, I think. So 2.5 minus 4 and 7/8. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, so 5 over 2, right? From mixed to improper. 8 times 4, 32, plus 7 is 39 over 8. Common denominator in this case is 8. I mean, we could do 16, we could do 24, but we always want the lowest one. So what we do is 8. So this one's fine, right? We have to change this first one. So we times both the denominator by 4 and the numerator by 4. And we end up with 20 over 8 minus 39 over 8, common denominator. You could just do 20 minus 39. So negative 19 over 8. That's improper. And if you want to change it to mixed, right, 8 goes into 19 2 times evenly with the 3 left over. So we end up with negative 2 and 3/8. Okay.